Okay. So let's get to a team that's been playing really well that I know Sharpie has a love for at the moment. It's the New York Rangers. And they're in the mix for that final spot in the East, just looking as we record today. They're even in points with the Flyers, but they're just a few off of that fourth and final playoff spot held by the Boston Bruins in the East. Dom, I'll ask the former Ranger, can this team get into the playoffs?
Well, if you look at the goal differential in the standings, it would suggest that they should be. They're plus 18. Philly is the team in front of them. They're minus 23. Obviously, Boston's plus 10, and they're right there. But Boston has really been struggling. Part of that goal differential for the Rangers is the games against Philly. But Philly just seems to be in a total state of disarray. No one really knows how to, dissect what's going on there. The Rangers have just been steadily picking up steam. It's kind of mirrored the season that Mika Zibanejad has had. As he started to pick up his game, the team has found their game. For the first couple of months, I don't think had their full roster for any game. One player would come back and then another would go out, and COVID and injuries and Shesterkin was out for a while. And so I think if they can get everybody healthy, let's not forget their coaching staff was out for a while. They can get everybody healthy and on board. I think they have a real shot. For me, the biggest thing is whether Boston can right the ship, and they've really been up and down lately. We'll possibly see something from them at the deadline that could help them. But I think it's between those two teams, Sharpie.
Yeah, I think Boston should trade back for Zdeno Chara. That might help them get in the playoffs. I'm just looking at the Rangers.
They lost some key defensemen for sure.
Yeah, and it's tough to recover when you lose two guys that mean so much to your team on and off the ice like that. But Boston's got a good squad. I'm looking at the Rangers schedule here. I see a lot of New Jersey, a couple games against Buffalo, some Islanders a bit. Philly, we know how they play against them, but they finished the season in Boston with a 2-game set. And wouldn't that be nice if those points really mattered? Rangers versus Boston to finish the regular season. I like the Rangers, and whether they make the playoffs or not, I'll be keeping my eye on this team next year and the years going forward. Maybe 3 to 5 years, this looks like a team that has a real crack at winning the Stanley Cup. We know about the rebuild. We know we're all going to give them some time to get their stuff together, but now we're starting to see the potential in this team. And you said it, Dom. Zibanejad's kind of driving the ship there. You got Panarin and Strome on another scoring duo. I like this Lafreniere kid. I think he can get better, and he will get better. So when his development gets to max potential or close to it, that's when the Rangers will really be cooking. Kakko's finally earned some more responsibility playing on the second line with Strome and Panarin. And our guy Adam Fox on the back end. I know he's getting a lot of positive press. I haven't heard anybody say one bad thing about him, but when you watch him play, it's his decision making, it's his composure under pressure situations. He just seems to make the right decision every time. He's not always going to make a perfect play and have a goal or an assist or a breakaway pass, but he's making the right decisions every single time out there. For a young defenseman, that's impressive. Secondary D pair is a little bit more physical with Trouba and Miller. They got the goaltending. And they're all kind of coming up together, feeling this rush, getting better together as an organization. I would hope that MSG could be packed for them one day. Dom, you probably know better than anybody what it's like to play in front of that crowd at home in that building. Maybe that's what puts this team over the edge. So to answer your question in a long answer, KT, yeah, I do think the Rangers are getting in this year, and they're going to knock Boston out.
I mean, can you imagine how good they'd be if Kakko and Lafreniere start to find their dominant form? And it takes some players longer, right? No, not everybody can come into the league like McDavid and just dominate right away. Every player is different, how they adjust. And for me, though, the biggest question is on D, Sharpie. The depth in those pairs, I think they struggle against top lines some nights, and that if you got talented forwards like Panarin and these Kreider and guys up front, Zibanejad, you need to get the puck in their hands, and Fox is definitely doing that. But I think as you go down the D pairs, I think they're not kind of getting the puck into the hands as quickly as they should. Fox is just phenomenal. I had a chance to skate with him for 4 months back in 2018 and see him when he was still in college.
We go, KT. Here comes the Harvard buddies talking.
And any chance I can get to pump Foxy's tires. I mean, as you mentioned, no one says a bad word about him because he's a great kid and awesome that he's got to play for the team he rooted for as a kid.
Yeah, I think that's so cool.
just the way he thinks the game is at another level. And he's a completely unique player than what we've seen in that position in quite some time.
Yeah, he's been a fun player to watch. I had a chance, Dom, not to one up you, to do an off the ice shoot with him just before the shutdown. We went to the Intrepid Museum in New York City. And I just found it so neat to pick his brain about what it was like, growing up. His dad's a season ticket holder for the New York Rangers. So there's a lot of pressure that comes with that when you get to play for your hometown team. But also, I mean, he has just thrived in that role. And how exciting that he gets to skate on the ice at Madison Square Garden every night for the team that he grew up rooting for. Just a Long Island kid across the way there. Short distance away from MSG, and I just think it's a great story, and he's just been able to carry all the weight of this team, the pressure, everything in stride. So maybe it has something to do with Harvard. I don't know.
Yeah, it was funny when I first met him. All he wanted to ask about was, the Rangers team's 2014, our run to the finals, and because he's such a huge Ranger fan, and those were meaningful memories for him. So I think it's just awesome that he's living his dream.
I was just a little boy watching you growing up.
yeah, exactly.
I think there's something to that, Dom. I like talking to the younger players that are coming into the league, and the guys that have no interest in talking about hockey, whether it's the current teams, whether it's the playoffs of years past. Those guys, I don't know, they're a certain type of player. And then you have those guys that just love the game. You can tell they've been a huge fan growing up. They're excited to be in the league. They're eager to learn. They want to get better. I love talking to players like that coming in the league. And it's funny how those guys end up lasting longer and turning themselves into their best players.
Yeah.
That's well said, Sharpie. The love for the game is probably the most important ingredient. If I was a scout, that would be what I would look for first and foremost.
Before I move on from the Rangers, just quickly, guys, with that trade deadline coming up next Monday, I mean, is this a team that needs something? Do they stay put? I mean, you hate to disrupt a good thing, as we were talking about earlier, Dom, but, on paper, what are they going to be looking for next week? The
Rangers?
Rangers.
I think it's on D. I just think that Miller has done really well for his inaugural season. He's played against some really top players on a nightly basis, getting a ton of minutes. But, him and Trouba, I think are solid defensive pairing, but they've looked a little bit over their head at times against the very top lines. And so I think they need help back there. Just having, especially if someone goes out in that top four group, I think they could really use someone back there that's, really going to be able to distribute the puck, get it up ice, and, help Fox out, because Fox is playing half the game pretty much. I don't think when they brought him in, they expected him to be on the penalty kill the way he is. I think they thought he was going to be mostly offensive. And so if they could lighten his load or support him in that way, I think that would go a long way.
But whatever they do or decide to do, it's important. I think they know it. They don't need to hear it from me. The future is what's important. Whether they get in the playoffs and win the cup this year, that's a long shot. I think they know it. They're playing for 2, 3, 4 years down the road. So whatever they bring in, they want to make sure they keep what they have and don't let any valuable pieces that are going to help them out down the road disappear.